$80,000. Let's buy a boat.
Let's do it.
Okay, yes.
So Bree won the game show.
Cue the applause.
Now that the Hustler has aired, let's ask the questions that everyone wants to know. Question number 1. What is your initial reaction after watching the Hustler on TV?
I would say it was kind of crazy, obviously, to watch it, to see yourself on TV and know that millions of people are watching it with you. It was fun to kind of see how they put everything together, because obviously the actual filming took about 2 hours, and then they condensed it to only about 40 minutes to put on TV. So it was kind of fun to watch it, but also there were so many times I was like, wait, they cut out that conversation, or they didn't add that, or oh, they didn't say this. But then it's also fun to watch because there's a lot of parts I did not realize, because now I'm seeing all the different people's faces, because I didn't get to see some of them when we were actually playing. I'd only be looking at one, but the guy on my right might be doing a totally different facial expression. I had no idea. So when you're watching it, I think a lot of people were able to be like, oh, it was so obvious that guy was the Hustler. But to me, I couldn't just stare at him every time. And you know, obviously the show is putting in clips to give you hints the whole time, but I didn't see those. Like I'm playing it live and I'm just like hoping I'm making the right decisions, but I have no idea. It's kind of fun to see people's reactions, because obviously when I did it live, I practically blacked out and I don't remember half of it. So it was fun to see it and bring back some cool memories.
Question number 2. Give us a sneak peek as to what happened behind the cameras and all of that kind of stuff.
So when I first got there that day, I was stuck in a room for 4.5 hours, which I mentioned in the last video. And so I couldn't talk to any contestants, because one of the biggest things is you don't get to know who the Hustler is. You don't know who the contestants are until you sit in that chair and you look around. And so that was the first thing I did. When I sat down, I looked around, I was like, okay, so I'm playing against these people and I'm trying to eye them up and trying to be like, okay, who are they? Because I don't get to know anything about them except for I see their names sitting there. That's about it. Behind the scenes, they did do commercial breaks like they would on any show, and they did that on Family Feud as well. And Craig Ferguson was always kind of laughing and cracking jokes during commercial breaks. One of the cool things too is everybody voted during commercial breaks on who they thought the Hustler was. So only about 2 people backstage ever knew who the Hustler was. It was like the head writer of the show and the main producer. They were the only 2 who got to know. Everyone else didn't know. The cameraman didn't know, the audience, Craig didn't even know. And I know that was something I saw on Twitter, was like, does Craig know? Because then maybe he's giving us hints. No, he had no idea. And actually he was wrong a lot.
Come on, Craig.
Yeah, so he originally, that was Troy. And then Troy got eliminated. Then he goes, yeah, I'm switching to Tina. Then Tina got eliminated. And then I remember he was like, okay, I give up. And he just like didn't even guess at that point. He was done. Because I think he felt so defeated that he was completely wrong. But yeah, so he would vote, the audience would vote, and of course we just had to sit there quiet and look at each other, because we were not allowed to talk at all. When the camera was off, we had to be completely quiet. We just had to sit there and kind of stare at each other for 5 minutes while the commercial break was happening, and they were resetting things, moving cameras, because one time a camera swung and hit a chandelier and that made the whole thing stop. They had to redo it all. And funny enough too, originally in the part of the show where Craig ate the salsa, he wasn't supposed to. So he went to go eat it, and then all of a sudden he stopped, and in his ear they were like, you're not supposed to eat it or whatever, and he goes, oh, I guess I wasn't supposed to eat that. My bad. And then he put it back. Well, then they thought it was so funny that he ate it, and they're like, no, actually we kind of like that. Go eat the salsa. So, you know, then he got to go back and do it, and that's kind of what you see on TV.
Question number 3. Walk us through the end of the game show where you almost changed your mind.
So it was just as intense as it was on the show. That was not scripted. I, most of the game, thought it might be Tim. But part of the game I also thought it might be Till, because the problem was I sat like this next to Till. And I'm looking at Tim the whole time. He's right across from me. We make eye contact the whole time. I feel a sense of calm around him because we're making eye contact. He's smiling. I feel like we're on the same like wavelength. Till wouldn't look at me. He was sitting here and he would always look at the screen, then look forward, then look at the screen, then look forward. He would never look to his left, which is where I was. So I kept thinking, he won't look at me. And I think he's the hustler because he won't ever look at me, not once. Like, he looks really shifty. Well, now when you watch the show, you're like, oh, he's fine, he's looking everywhere. But he just never looked to my side and never made eye contact. So part of the time I thought it might be Till because I could never actually see him. And so it was hard. It wasn't until the last 2 questions, they switched me and I sat on the other side, and then all of a sudden I could make eye contact and I was like, oh, it's not him. Like, it hit me and I was like, it's not him, because I finally can look at him and I see he's genuine. He's a genuine guy. I feel it now. But then the problem was that last question. Tim was not going to say the answer. And we actually asked him after the show, did you know the answer was adenosine? And were you gonna tell us, like, for the double or the cut in half? And he said no. He said he was gonna stay quiet. He'd rather leave with $40,000 than 0. So he was not—
Smart, I mean, it's a whole lot of money still.
Yeah, so he was not gonna tell us. He was gonna stay quiet and let someone else guess, because he didn't wanna give himself away, which, you know, is definitely a strategy. So when Till all of a sudden guessed right, and completely guessed, like, I asked him a bunch of times after, like, did you know? And he said no. He said, I literally took a shot in the dark and it worked. And yeah, which is crazy that we doubled our money with something that was a complete guess. So he guessed that, and I didn't know, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've been thinking it's Tim. Now Till got that right. Am I thinking wrong? So now I'm starting to second guess. I only have a couple minutes to decide. I'm freaking out because I don't want to make the wrong decision. I mean, it's very scary, and I obviously don't want to be like, gosh, now I have so many regrets. Like, I could have made all this money. I could have won. Probably how Tim feels right now. Yeah. Sorry, Tim. But yeah, so it was a very scary moment at the very end, not gonna lie. Like, it was, my heart was racing. Unreal.
Question number 4. After the Hustler was over, what happened after that?
When it was airing, like when I filmed it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So when we got done, and of course I'm like running around, screaming, crying, can't breathe, hyperventilating. And my mom's in the front row screaming as well. And now she's like, that's my daughter. And like, it was so funny. Then we did those exit interviews, which you saw at the end of the show. And that's where Tim kind of said he's gonna go home to his chickens. And I said, like, we played the game better, and I won $80,000, woo! They stuck me with all of the contestants in a van for an hour and a half. We had to drive back towards the airport, and we all had to be together. And funny enough, I actually reached out to Till, the guy I won with and I split the money with, on Facebook, and even he said that was the most awkward moment of our lives, because it was so awkward. I just want to talk and be excited. Like, I just want to talk about it, at least to my mom, or talk to Till, and you know, we can't, because I'm sitting there with the other 3 people who lost, and I got to be respectful. And that's where I was able to actually ask Tim some of the questions about, like, so you write poetry? Do you really own chickens? Do you really drink 12 espresso shots a day? Like, how are you not dead?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I was able to ask him some of those questions, and he really does cry to say yes to the dress. It was fun to kind of hear a little bit about, you know, the Hustler and get to talk to him after, but at the same time, he wasn't happy, obviously. He was frustrated, he was sad. It was a long day. He had to play another person. You know, he didn't get to play himself, so for him, he was mentally exhausted. And so I asked questions, but after a while, he pretty much was just like put in his headphones, so I left him alone. But yeah, it was a very awkward car ride. I never got to really talk to Till. I just reached out to him on Facebook, and we were able to talk last night after the show a little bit, and kind of reminisce over it. And I could ask him some questions, and you know, because obviously I haven't been able to talk to him for over a year. I didn't know if I was allowed to reach out to him. I didn't want to get in trouble, because like there's $80,000 on the line, so like I'm not gonna push any boundaries. So I waited till after the show till I could finally friend request him, and you know, He's my game show buddy.
Question number 5. What are you going to do with the money? Because $80,000 is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. It's a great question. I, for sure, right off the bat, am going to donate 10%. And with that, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do with that 10%. I wanna do something hands-on, whether that means going to a food shelter and handing out food to families, whether it's going to a Walmart and just buying people in line groceries who look like they could use it, whether it's buying computers for people who are at college and trying to better themselves and maybe they don't have a laptop. I don't know, but I want to give back to my community because that's just really important to me. Whenever people ask, like, what would you do if you won the lottery? Everybody always said that growing up. And everybody says, I'm gonna donate some. But, you know, when you win a game show, you might not think of it. For me, I feel like this is like, put your money where your mouth is. And I 100% am like, yeah, I'm good for it. Like, it's not something I just used to say growing up, I want to donate some. No, I do. I want to do, you know, good in this world and I want to help people. And I've been very blessed in my life. And during COVID, I, you know, got to keep my job and I've had a lot of blessings in my life and I want to help other people that maybe haven't had as many. For the rest of it, I for sure want to take my mom on a trip. She came with me on the Hustler and she was so supportive and helpful. She was just there for me and just amazing. So I want to give back to her and take her on like a cruise one day or go somewhere, do something, whatever she wants. Maybe next year, I don't know. Whenever she wants it, I wanna spoil her as best as I can. She's awesome. And the rest is just gonna go into savings. I know I'm boring. I should buy a boat.
Last question. Do you have any plans to go on any other game shows?
Of course. I have to wait 2 years, obviously. I believe it's 2 years from the air date. 2 years, I'm gonna start applying again and hopefully I can get on another one. I'd love to get on Price is Right. My cousin obviously wanted that and that sounds like a blast. I would also love to get on Spin the Wheel or Deal or No Deal, if they bring that back. Oh, I'd love to go on that. Love that game. Oh, gets me so excited. Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I'd love to do Beat Shazam. Me and my mom love music, so that would be really cool. And that one I've had auditions for a couple times. I've always been close, but just never got there, so it's on my radar. I'm gonna be calling them. 2 years, producers, I'm calling you. I mean, if they'll keep taking me,
Why not?
I'll keep doing it.
Just
Why
keep
not?
going.
Yeah, and even if I don't win, it's fun to obviously win money, but I haven't even received a penny of it yet. It's more just, it's fun to be on TV. It's fun to play games. It's, I don't know, it pushes me outside my comfort zone and I like that. I like a good challenge.
Right.
Yeah.
We're fine. I'm Tyler and I sit like this. Get the camera to stop and we'll kind of do a whole new one. Good. Show. Don't be afraid to say the word show.
So I want a game show.
Want to do a picture? What are you doing?
Nothing.
So Bree won the game show.